Do kids really need cell phones? If that's the case, how did I ever survive life as a kid growing up without a cell phone bolted to my hand? That's what I'm going to talk about on today's live stream. Let me push a couple of buttons here. Make sure I got all my technical equipment going. Go live. Okay, should be live on Instagram too. Let me check my other platforms here. Am I live on this one? Old single dad trying to get all the technology going here. Oh yeah, looks like I'm live on that Facebook. Am I live? Oh yeah, I'm up and running on Twitch. My friends over on Twitch might not agree with my assessment of whether or not kids need cell phones. Alright, now let me get your comments pulled up. If somebody can tell me, can you hear me? How's the audio? A lot of times I get this thing running, I figure out that there's no audio, that I've been talking to myself for 20 minutes. So I'll wait on somebody to give me a nice comment and say, yeah, I can hear you. It's like that awkward moment when you're sitting there waiting to see if anybody comes to the party. Is anybody here? Can anybody hear me? Man. Boom, Black Diamond, how are you? Giving me a thumbs up. Watching from YouTube. Thank you very much, my friend. Thank you very much. How's the audio? Maybe I need to scoot over just a little bit for the Instagram crowd out there. Let's see. Caudle Jack reporting audio is good. Watching from Instagram. All right. Thank you very much. Eduardo, how are you? Cell phones are a distraction in the classrooms. I absolutely agree. So what I'm going to do, what sparked this, well, a couple things happened this morning. Sitting here having my coffee and an article caught my attention here in the Philippines. And it's about a mayor down in Cebu who has issued a total ban on cell phones in his in schools in his city. And there's some debate over that, but I really like the article and I like what the guy said. He's got a set of cojones, and I was like, yeah, I love this guy. So I'm going to start out by reading that article, and then me and my buddy were talking. Well, let me back up. I sent my daughter to school this morning, and her tummy wasn't feeling well, so I had to go pick her up. And then me and my buddy were talking about how the UAE has banned social media for anyone under the age of 15. So 14 and under, no social media. And we'll talk about how they're putting the responsibility onto the tech companies, which, you know, I'm 50-50. I don't really agree. My position is the responsibility is on us as parents. And I've done this video before where a chick and her mother sued Google somewhere out in California, got a bunch of money, said it was their fault that she was addicted to social media, which is bullshit. Just a money grab. It's the parents' fault that our kids are addicted to anything. That's my position. So let me go to a couple more comments and we'll get into this article. It's kind of funny. At least it is for me. There's so many skinny jean wearing Call of Duty shitheads in the world. When you read somebody who's got a set of cojones, you know, it just puts a smile on my face. Massa Blasta, how are you? Reporting good audio. Hey Joe, how you doing, man? Yeah, I'm getting settled in here now, so pretty soon we'll have to hit you up and plan a trip up there. I'm bringing my crew. Greg checking in from Orlando, Benito in Texas, Steve and Leanne, how are you? Okay, thank you, Leanne. I wish I would have never allowed my daughter to have one. Okay, and that's my opinion up front. I have an 8-year-old daughter, and she gets limited time on her iPad. And when I say very limited, it's limited. She doesn't carry a cell phone, don't got a cell phone, and that's just the way it's going to be. So let me get into this article. I'll put the article up on the screen. If you're watching from Instagram on the Facebook style, what do they call that, portrait mode, you won't be able to see it. But I'll put it briefly on the screen for reference. So if my technology works, here we go. Okay. Now let me come over here and see if y'all can see that. Do y'all see that on the screen? No, because that's the wrong one. You're seeing me twice on the screen. See, I've already screwed something up. Let me get the article on the screen. Okay, now you should be seeing it. Okay, so there's the article right there. Schools in Cebu municipality to ban cell phones, coming from the Manila Times. So there you go, for anybody who wants to look it up. And then we'll come look at my beautiful face here instead of the article. But I guess I'm going to have to get my glasses on to read it. Okay, so here we go. Beginning Monday, June 29th, which was yesterday, schools in a municipality in Cebu will confiscate cell phones brought by students and will return these only when the academic year ends. I love it. Consequences for your actions. Now I'm going to mess up this gentleman's name, and I apologize, but it's the city of Dumanjug, or Duman, Dumanjug. I think it's south of Cebu City. Mayor Efren Guntrano, nicknamed Gun Gun. You gotta love it. And his last name is Gaika or Geeka. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong. We'll just call him Mayor Gun Gun. That's his nickname. Ordered schools to confiscate cell phones beginning Monday and return them to their owners at the end of the school year. Now, why is he doing this? The security measure was introduced after the deadly school shooting in Tacloban City last week. So if y'all aren't tracking, there's I guess a couple incidents of school violence went on here. So he put a Facebook post out on the 28th, Sunday, addressed to all the school heads. And he said that his city would implement a total ban on cell phones inside schools without exception. To all school heads, no in Dumanjug. I'm probably saying that wrong. Okay? So let me go to your comments, and then I'll go forward with what else the mayor had to say. So let me just catch up with your comments here. You will not be able to stop it. Nobody can. Well, I don't think that's entirely true. You know, my daughter's 8. She don't got a cell phone. I'm not buying her a cell phone. If anybody gives her a cell phone, it'll be against my consent, and I will do a durability test on that cell phone on a video to see what a sundong does to a cell phone. So you can't stop it eventually. Eventually my daughter's going to grow up and be an adult. She can do what she wants to with her life. But, you know, teaching, coaching, molding her mind growing up, that's my responsibility, and I don't see how it benefits her to walk around with a cell phone in her hand at 8 years old. So you can't stop it eventually, I agree, but if they're your kids, you can certainly put a stop to it. See, Sam, how are you? James, thank you very much. Hope you like the studio. I'm going to spruce it up a little bit as time goes by. Let's see, Bobby Martin says no, they don't need a cell phone. but in cases where they're away out of your sight for emergency purposes, as in school, or running errands to the store by themselves, or whatever, they are handy. All right, so good point. We'll get into the safety aspect and argument of it. Do kids these days need a cell phone for safety purposes? And there's pros and there's both sides of that argument, because the world that we live in today, I think we will all agree, is not the world that a lot of us grew up in. Walking to school, riding your bike to school. The freedom that we had growing up in the 70s and 80s, the safety level was much different back then. So that might be the argument. Due to today's world, these kids do need a cell phone. Let's see, Mr. Scary checking in from Camp Humphrey, South Korea. How are you? And again, Leanne says didn't realize it till it was too late. Okay, Mr. G, do children need access to social media? And that will be our next article, talking about how the UAE just banned social media for 14 and under. Got to be 15, and I think there are some restrictions once you get to 15. So they're putting some restrictions on it. Okay, so Bobby Martin brings up another one. Her daughter's school got put on lockdown. She contacted me via cell phone, provided updates to ease my concerns. Okay. Big Falk, how are you? And come on down here. Let's see, Felton, how you doing? And says I need to be able to get in touch with my kids at all times in this day and age. And that's a lot of people feel that way. There was a point where I felt that way. I don't feel like that anymore. My feelings on the issue have changed. All right, Mr. Scary, good point. They need a form of technology so they don't fall behind their peers, but the classroom is no place for phones. Absolutely agree, unless you're in some type of computer science class. My daughter has an iPad. She has access to a MacBook Pro, but I don't see the need to have a cell phone bolted to her hand, where she's doing what I'm gonna start calling this right here, or this right here, is the statue of poverty. The statue of poverty. It's just a waste of most everybody's time, especially at that age. What are you doing? What are they doing? Playing some video game? How is it productive? How is it learning? How are they learning? How is it helping them with their development? Unless you're just arguing they need to know how to operate the device to keep up with technology. Okay. All right. So Australia is the only country where you must be 16 to have a social media account. It's too much bullying on social media. Okay. And then the UK just passed some tough social media law for kids. So I'm going to reference the UAE, but yeah, with the UK, Australia, I don't know the countries, all the countries that are involved in putting some type of restriction on it. But let me just go back to Mayor Gun here. And again, this is why I did the whole video. The guy just put a smile on my face, a little chuckle. Here's what he says, according to this article. Mayor Gun down in Cebu. There are no phones allowed in school. Starting Monday, if a student brings a phone, it will be confiscated and only returned at the end of the school year. If you do not wish to follow this policy, you have the option to transfer your children to another municipality, the mayor said. Quite simple. It's my way or the highway. I'm the mayor. I'm responsible for safety in my town. And it's my way or the highway. You bring a cell phone to school, no problem. Gonna confiscate it. You ain't gonna get it back till graduation, Jack. Now the mayor didn't say that last part. I'm just filling in for him. But I look. He's the sheriff in that town, and it ain't gonna happen. And here's what he says. The mayor said the policy aims to help students focus on reading, studying, and interacting with classmates instead of spending time on gadgets. We want our kids to read, study, and interact with their classmates. What the hell is wrong with that? Let's see, the article goes on. But he cites student safety. I guess there was some coordination down in the Tacloban incident. I'm not up on that incident, so I'm not exactly sure what broke down with that school shooting recently. Okay. That's the article I wanted to reference. I'll go to your comments. Well, I'll just give you a follow-up right quick. I guess there was some pushback, but he said he stands firm on the decision to ban cell phones in his school. Not backing down. He gives you an option. Hey, everybody's got an option in life, right? You have an option. You don't want to follow the policy, just take your kids somewhere else. You got the option to do that. But here, they're going to learn how to read, how to talk to their peers, and study and actually do what a school is designed to do rather than doing some form of the statute of poverty. Okay, now go to your comments and then I'll reference another article that came out of Manila on the subject. Let's see. Hey Angie, how you doing? Adam, how are you? Quality of this stream is amazing. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I got some audio upgrades. I want to get the audio dialed in a little bit better. But I'm doing my best with the equipment that I have on hand right now. So thank you very much. Some of y'all left a comment and said, hey man, I prefer the outdoor background much better than the studio background. I do too. I would rather have the mountains in the background or the cow pasture with real cows out there and a mountain in the background. But it's been raining this morning, so when it rains, it's hard to set equipment up, and it starts raining. You got to break it down, bring it back inside. It's a little bit more difficult. But yeah, I would much rather have a beautiful background than this wall. Let's see. Sour old man, how you doing? Let them take the older flip phones to school. No smartphones. Hey, I'm all for that too. They don't need a smartphone. If we need to stay in contact with our kids, it's a phone call. Flip that phone open. Hey, are you okay? Yes. Close it. There would be no reason to stare at that flip phone. Now, back in the day, them phones had them little games on them. People would still sit there and play the games. The phone does one thing. It makes phone calls. No texting. Because if you allow the phone to text, they're going to sit there and use them thumbs and text on them old school flip phones. The phone does one thing. It makes and receives phone calls. And Scott P says, we're having this conversation as we are all sitting here staring at our phones. That's correct. But I think to stay on point, it's about kids. They're discussing in these articles, do kids really need to bring their phone to school? And do kids really need to be on social media? and they're making the assumption that all of these kids have a smartphone. I'm taking it one step further to say, why do kids need a damn smartphone in the first place? I want to take it one step further. Why do they need it? If they don't have a cell phone, then you don't have the problem of the child bringing the device to school or spending too much time on social media or watching somebody sit there and chow down on hard candy for 8 hours straight. You see what I mean? Go to the root of the problem. They don't need the cell phone. That's my purpose. So, to qualify that argument right here early into the stream, 20 minutes, this morning, took my daughter to school. Get back home. 10 minutes later, the teacher calls the old lady and says, hey, she's not feeling well, her tummy hurts. Can you come pick her up? On my way. Went and scooped her up. Did my daughter need a cell phone to communicate that with me? No, that's what she got a teacher for. The teacher did the initial interview, made the determination, yeah, send her home. That's what it used to be back in the 80s. You didn't just immediately go call your mother. What'd you do? Hey, I'm not feeling well. Okay, go to the school nurse. School nurse will say, oh, you're fine. Go back to class. Shut the hell up. Or she'll say, hey, lay down for an hour. Okay, now you're feeling better? Take your ass back to class. Only if you didn't pass all of those assessments by the nurse, then your mom got a phone call. Not sitting here texting mom for 30% of the day when they're supposed to be listening to the lesson that's being presented. So in my lifestyle, my life, I just proved this morning, my daughter don't need a phone. Her teacher has a phone. She knows how to call me and her mother. Problem solved. What if there's an emergency? There you go, it's an emergency. What happens in an emergency? Call the parents. We go pick the child up. Well, what if there's an emergency at home? What's my 8-year-old daughter going to do to help out if there's an emergency at home? You see where I just don't see the need if people are going to argue it's an emergency. Maximus, how you doing? Checking in from Chicago. Got Midnight Alchemist. Okay, watch them claim abuse if you take a cell phone from your child. I mean, if it happened in the U.S. or is happening in the U.S., I guess I would believe it because I don't even know my own culture over there anymore. I've been gone far too long to keep up with what goes on over there, what the social and societal norms are. So I don't know. If you took your kid's cell phone away in America right now, would Child Protective Services come out and interview you? I don't know. Maybe they would. Is having a cell phone at 8 years old considered a basic human right in the United States? There's crazier things going on there, so I don't know. See, Claire checking in from New Jersey. How are you? Albert, Lance, Eli, how are y'all doing? Okay, Dreamriff says, I use Google Family Link, and I don't know anything about that. Blocking certain apps during school hours, setting limits at night for screen time. It's not 100%, but it works well for now. Okay, I'll have to check that out. Now, I'll tell you what I like. Okay, I have these extenders, these Wi-Fi extenders. In the software that comes with the extenders, you can do the same thing. You can block sites. I mean, you can do it with any router, but a lot of routers in the past have been too complicated. But this one has a little interface. It's pretty easy for you to figure out how to block certain sites. Set times where they can have access to the internet and they don't. I used to have that thing set up where basically everybody's internet went off at 10 o'clock. They got no choice but to go to bed, right? You hate to have to be like that, but if you don't, everybody will try to stay up all night, and then they're zombies the next day because they didn't get no sleep. Okay, Mr. Gary says the parents should be practicing cell phone restrictions at home so they're used to the concept when they're in school. Okay, Sammy the Bull. When I misbehaved in school in the 90s, the teacher would call my parents. Same if I got sick, school nurse would call. Or say lay down until the bell rang. There you go. No cell phones were required because they weren't around. You know, early days of me going to school, and I'm just going to brush on this. We'll get into an argument over punishment, but the teachers had a paddle. Every teacher had their own paddle, and if you acted out, you get paddled in front of the class. If that wasn't effective, they'd tell you to go stand out in the hall. The vice principal, one of the vice principals, would scoop you up, take you to the office, and paddle you some more. I took some paddlings as a kid, and then as time progressed, what happened? Took the paddles away from the teachers. Then only the assistant or only the principals could paddle you. Then it required a consent form. Then there was limits, and then it went away. Now you're no longer scared of going to the principal's office. What are you going to do? Just talk to me in a harsh manner? But times have obviously changed. Jesse, how you doing? Checking in from Oakland. Has anybody ever told me, let's see, Lee Majors. I don't know if anybody said I look like Lee Majors. A lot of folks said I look like Adam Sandler. I don't know. My parents told me once you called the police for me giving you discipline, I send you to the orphanage. Yeah, my buddy growing up, old Ray Ray, his mom, big woman, she told him, she said, if you ever call 911 on me, you better tell them to send you an ambulance as well. That's what she told him. You won't call the police on me, just make sure they send you an ambulance too. Alright, so let me go to just the next article. Let's stay on topic. This comes from the Philippine News Agency. I'll put it on the screen for the record there. Palace okay with cell phone curbs in schools, but questions the harsh penalties. Okay. And y'all look at me, I put my old man glasses on here. And basically what it's saying is they give some support to curb the cell phone use, but they raise questions about the reasonableness of the penalties. In other words, confiscating the kid's phone till the end of the school year. And so that's what they're talking about in that article there. But I mean, here's the thing. If you impose policies or laws without any penalties, how do you get people to follow them if they don't want to? So I imagine at that school, what is going to happen? Now look, I'm just speculating like Ron Burgundy. This would be one course of action. A few days into it, somebody will get caught on their phone and their phone will get confiscated, and then word is going to circulate around that holy crap, they're not lying, they're taking our phones. And then people will probably not bring any more phones to school. Now, if they just give the phone back, people are going to see, oh, they're not serious. They'll give it back to you at the end of the day. There's no worries. But if one kuya gets his phone taken and he's not getting it back, well, they know they're serious. I mean, it's sort of like what's going on. Should I go off on this topic? It's sort of like what's going on with the situation in Iran right now with Trump. Nobody's listening to what he's saying because they're not fearing any repercussions anymore. They used to fear the repercussions. Now they don't. So anyhow, that's what that article is talking about there. Okay, now it looks like I can't see myself on Twitch here. Let me go around and check my technology. Okay, I'm up on Twitch. Looks like I'm still good on Facebook and the Instagram. Okay, so I'm still doing good. Back to your comments, and then we'll talk about the social media ban. Okay, Paul says these kids are on those cell phones so much that they can't even process a thought anymore. They can't do anything on their own without going to their phone. Now, I'm glad you brought that up, because I was watching some clips of kids debating over in the States. And that's what they were doing. They were just sitting there in a debate, looking at their cell phone. I'm like, how is that a debate? All you're doing is reading off of Wikipedia or whatever you're reading. You're not formulating your own thoughts or defending your position. It's one person reading, this page in Wikipedia versus the other one over here reading. How is that a debate? So again, has technology really improved our lives? While I'm thinking about it, let me go off on a tangent here, right? We're all aware of the technology concerning what's Elon Musk's program called Neuralink, right? Where they're implanting chips in your brain. People can control the basic commands on a computer through this link. So obviously the technology is coming. It's on its way. Some of it is already here to interface us humans with technology. So imagine at some point where all you got to do is go in and get a chip implanted in your brain, and now you speak every language known to man. You've got every encyclopedia in your head. There's no use to use Google anymore. It's just a chip in your head. Once that technology comes, will there be a need for schools anymore? Why would there be a need for a university if you just go in and come out an hour later and you're a brain surgeon, you're an engineer, you're all this rolled up into one? Which chip do you want? How much memory do you want? How much information you want implanted in your head? Will there be a need for any schools once that technology is there? Why would you go 4 years to school when you can go 4 hours and have all the knowledge in the world in your head? Or it doesn't even have to be stored in your head. It's just a Bluetooth chip that interfaces to the internet that's all around you. Now you know everything. Now when the lights go out, the power goes out, the electricity goes down, you go back to being dumb as fuck. But as long as there's electricity, you'd be the smartest guy in the room. But would you be? I guess it'd be whoever's got the latest and greatest upgraded chip would be the smartest person in the room. All right, let's see. Pro Media, how you doing? It's me. How are you? And again, Pro Media Consultants checking in from East Texas. Let's see. The Owl's Nest says in Tacoma, it's never the kid's fault. Parents will just buy them another phone. Yeah, in America, I imagine that's what would happen, right? You get your phone confiscated, which they would never do. But if they did, they'd just buy them a new one. Over here, it's a little bit more serious. Everybody over here is not walking around with the latest and greatest iPhone. There's a lot of people over here that are still carrying around talking text. and a lot of people who don't have a cell phone. So if a kid here in a public school got his phone confiscated, it would be, pretty devastating. He's not just going home and cry to mom and dad and get a new iPhone the next day. So they would take this policy a little bit more serious. Boom, Klinsky, off the top ropes. I just need $2 million in an 8-ball. What movie is that from? So let me put that on the broadcast there. Thank you very much. Look at that, fits perfectly. Even got it fitting perfect over on my Instagram feed. And for all my folks watching on Instagram, it only gives me like an hour or 2 hours and then it cuts off. There's a time limit on the Instagram feed for some reason. Okay, let me go to the third article. So we're talking about cell phones in schools. And then we go over to what the UAE just did. And what they did is, I'll just put it up there for the record. The UAE's social media age limit is a win for child safety. And we were just earlier discussing how the UK and Australia has put some restrictions in place. I'm all for it, but in the same sense, I'm not, because I don't like the government being in my life any more than they already are. So let's just set that first tone. What do I really want, and I think a lot of people really want from the government, is to just leave us the hell alone and get the hell out of our way. My tagline for years has been, I believe in, free speech, less government, and cold beer. I think in the United States we could do away with 95% of the federal government, and the country would be a lot better. We need about 5% of the government that we have now. So why does it take the government to impose these rules when we parents have the ability to not allow it to be a problem in the first place? Why do we have to let the government solve another one of our problems? That's my position on it. My daughter doesn't have a phone, so she will never have the problem of getting caught using a cell phone at school. If she does, it ain't hers. So I don't have that problem. I don't need the government to solve that problem of my kids taking gadgets to school. I got that covered. Number 2, using social media. When she's on her iPad at night, I'm paying attention. She's not going to be on social media. Why? Because in my opinion, that's not helping her development, her education, her learning. It's not teaching her how to be a better person. It's going the opposite direction. When she gets on her iPad at night and watches YouTube, and through the natural flow ends up on some AI generated fake voice bullshit, what have you, I'm like, all right, that's it. Into the iPad session. We're done. It just pisses me off. And I go put on something on Netflix that I approve, that I think helps her her learning and her development and be a good person. And that's it. And a lot of times when she spends that time on the iPad, that's when you'll catch the little bit of attitude. So how do I deal with it? I just eliminate the problem. I'm the parent. I can do that. I don't need the government to impose restrictions on my kid. I'm quite capable of handling that myself. I did a video before where I talked about them chicks out in California. The girl sued and her mother was on the bandwagon. Oh, it's Google's fault. You made me addicted to social media. And they got a bunch of money. Now everybody wants to get the money. In my position, they should have charged, if they feel that it was detrimental to the child's health, they should have charged the mother with some type of abuse charge, if you want to go that route. No, they were on the bandwagon to get that money. It's Google's fault. It's old Zuckerberg's fault. It's your fault, and they give me some money. No, it's your fault as the parent. You went out, bought the phone, handed it to your child, got her connected to the internet that you pay for, and said, here you go. It's the buffet program. It's your fault. Not the kid's fault. Not Google's fault. It's the parents' fault. But now that we're giving them free money, everybody's going to claim I'm a victim too. Me too. I'm a victim too. Give me $2 million and some cocaine. Damn. What movie's that from? Yeah, that's what parents do. Is a digital babysitter. Here's the phone. Now go away. Then the kid comes back with this look because it's low bat. Where's the charger? Here's the charger. Now go away. Stop bothering me. What'd they bother you for? 10 seconds to get the phone, 10 seconds to get the charger. Now they're over in the corner by themselves for hours. Okay, let's see. Okay, so Paul says, I heard on the radio today that ChatGPT says hamburgers are not good to cook on the grill. When did ChatGPT eat a grilled hamburger? My point exactly. This AI is just a new branding for computer programs. Are they much better programs than they were back in 1980? I talked about this yesterday, day before. If you didn't join me, I'll give you a program from 1980. Like number 10. Some quotation marks. Well, no, I already screwed up. 10 print quotation mark, quotation mark. You hit enter, go to the next line. 20, go to 10, run. It'll print my name across the screen. That was a computer program. That's a basic computer program. 1980. AI is just the evolution of computer programs, but they have branded it artificial intelligence. And we fall for the branding every time. The branding is powerful. But just like Paul said, this computer program has never ate a hamburger. Somehow, us humans told the computer program to output that. It's garbage in, garbage out. Now, a person can go in there and tweak that computer program so the next time you ask it the exact same question, it'll say hamburgers are the best thing in the world to put on the grill. You can program that computer program, ChatGPT, to say elephants are the best thing to put on a backyard grill every time. It's not intelligence. It's not artificial intelligence. It's a computer program. There you go. That's my opinion on the matter. Yeah, Fatima doesn't need a cell phone. She needs a talk and text. That's all she needs. Why? Because probably right now she's doing some type of Statue of Liberty. Right? Yeah, she's not, 99% of the time, she's not using it to further her or our daughter's education. But 1% of the time, last night she was, actually, because they were trying to figure out her Tagalog homework, and I can't help with that. But yeah, you're right. 99% of the time, they're not used to help the child. Any type of education. All right. Let's go UAE. Pass this social media age limit it's 14 and under. So you got to be 15. Boom! Klinsky coming back off the top ropes. AI said it's hot in the Philippines. Thank you very much again. Well, it's always hot in the Philippines, but actually this morning we've had a little bit of rain. It's actually nice and cool compared to most of the time in the Philippines. So, I just did a video. I will never use AI. And people argue, you use AI every day. Your thumbnail is AI. I create most of my thumbnails just by a screen grab in the video. I put it on Photoshop, just brighten the image a little bit. I do all the work, but Photoshop does some of the magic. Is that AI? You could argue it is through the branding, but I'm doing all the work. I don't just sit down and tell something, hey, make me a thumbnail. I use it as a tool. But if you go back 200 years and showed somebody Photoshop, you can convince them that it's magic, that it's artificial intelligence. It's a computer program. That's all it is. But when I say AI, I'm not interested in using a computer program to generate fake images or fake video to fool you. All right? I'm not interested in that. If you're watching something here, this is me, this is my voice, these are my thoughts. I don't even write scripts. I've never written a script. I don't have a teleprompter, never will. It's just what comes brain to mouth in this direction. So, how do I use a computer program every day? Artificial intelligence, whatever you want to call it. Use Final Cut Pro to edit video. I use Photoshop to make thumbnails. I'm like anybody else. I use my computer. But to use a computer program to make a fake video, fake voice, fake images, this human is not interested in going that route, and nor do I consider that any type of art. Does that make sense? Just by sitting down and say, paint me a pretty picture, that you're not the artist. That's not art. That's my personal opinion. How to get off on this tangent? Let's see, Doc M, how you doing? Kids should not ever have cell phones in school. If they're required, they should provide them. Okay, there you go. Like, back in the 80s, we had a computer lab. You want to hack away on a computer? Okay, you got to wait for computer class. And well, computers are over there in the lab. They don't leave the classroom. Okay. Okay, half the argument was you said it's a good thing for the government to step in and monitor the cell phone use of children. And now you're seeing that it's not. Well, here's the thing. When I say that I'm with the mayor on his ban, because most folks don't see things the way I see them. I see it that it's my responsibility, that it's the parent's responsibility. But one of the things that was said on these articles where schools have banned cell phones is that the parents are saying thank you for the help. We need help in enforcing our child not spending so much time on the cell phone. So a lot of parents aren't of the same opinion of me that, number one, you don't need a cell phone. Number two, if it's a problem, I'll smash it with a fucking sledgehammer. There won't be no problem. These parents are saying, please help us. Which is very strange to me, but I can't ignore what other parents are saying. So they are applauding the school's bans because they're saying it's helping us deal with the problem at home. And I'm saying, you weak ass motherfuckers, just get rid of the phone. So we're all in different levels and different perspectives on the issue. But I'm not going to argue with my 8-year-old about how much time she gets to spend. There is no argument. If it's a problem, I'm going to deal with it as the parent. But not everybody looks at it like that. They need and they want and they applaud some type of government help. You know, they're the types going to call 911 every time. I come from the old school, back before everybody called 911. You handle problems on your own. Yeah, I remember them times back then. So let me go to another article here. Let's see, I think I have one more. Or maybe it was a video. Okay, so I'll just throw this up there on the screen right quick, just to read that headline. 1 year into school cell phone bans, educators report calmer classrooms, stronger student connections. And I was watching just a short clip of that video, and what I found ridiculous was that they had looked like teachers sitting, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 teachers, and the students were coming up. They were putting their phones in a bag. I guess they were turning the phone in the morning before class. And I'm like, we're paying people to take the cell phone, log it in, then they got to issue it back out all this time, and government employees, when the parents can just say, don't take the phone to school, or don't give them a phone. Just another case of, has technology really simplified our lives? Well, I can tell you, back in 1980, the school didn't have to have 10 teachers on staff in the morning to collect cell phones. We created that problem through the development of technology. Boom! David Vidalis, how are you, my friend? Thank you very much. Hope you're doing well. That's it. It's pretty simple. If this device becomes a problem, you just take it away. You paid for it. Okay, I guarantee you, if your 7-year-old, 8-year-old, 9-year-old has a cell phone, there's about a 99% chance that you paid for it. They did not pay for it. It's not their property. You paid for it. Believe it or not, you as the parent have the ability, the right, and the capability to take that phone away if it's becoming a problem. And I'm arguing up front, it's a problem. So, yeah, remember them days of a little black book with phone numbers? Man, them were the good old days. All right, go to your comments here. Well, there you go, Paulie. Thank you for bringing it up. I wasn't allowed to use a calculator in school. They considered it cheating. I remember those days too. You can't use a calculator. We had the technology. We had that calculator. But you can't use it. Why? Because you're not freaking learning. You're using a computer to come up with the answer. How is that learning? So yeah, you couldn't use it. It's cheating. That's right, Klinsky. AI was lying about my hairline too. If you're not tracking, I pushed a couple buttons on YouTube, Curiosity, and it threw out 2 AI generated thumbnails. One basically made my hair disappear. I don't remember which side. I think it was this side here. Made my hair disappear. It like exaggerated my receding hairline. I got a full head of hair, but it just made me like go bald here, and outputted, oh, this is a beautiful thumbnail. Well, a human knows. A human, anybody could look at that and say, hey, that's a horrible picture of him. Why? Because you're focusing in on the guy's flaw. And you even took out some hair. You can't use that. My gosh. Makes them look horrible. A computer don't know that shit. We humans know that. But again, somebody can go in there and tweak the computer program, AI, and tell it, hey, don't do that. Do this. Change a few lines of code, and now it won't do that no more. It's just garbage in, garbage out. There you go, David, good point. You had to show your work. You had to show your work. That way the teacher knew you didn't use a calculator, you weren't cheating. Well, I guess if you copied your buddy's, how he showed his work, but yeah, you had to show your work. Even if you did it in your head, show your work, or you got it wrong. Angelo said, my daughter wants her phone back, so I gave it back. Crying, so depressed. Think about all the fights, when I say fights, all the conflict that parents have with their children over these gadgets. Okay? All the conflict that is created because of cell phones, iPads, video game consoles. You go in there, hey, clean your room. They're still doing this shit here. And it just elevates and escalates from there. These devices have done nothing but create problems for parents. That's the way I look at it. We have enough problems raising kids already. We have enough problems. Why take something this addicting and add it to the mix, and now you're competing with something that they're basically addicted to? I mean, you might as well give them a crack pipe. Here, hit the crack pipe. Now go clean your room. What's more important, cleaning your room or the crack pipe? Now you're fighting over this. If they don't have the phone, they're not used to the phone, they're not used to having an iPad free reign, it's just, there's no conflict. There's absolutely no conflict. But if you give it to them in the first place, they grow up with it, they're addicted to it, and they consider it their property, and then you try to take it away, well, you're in for some conflict by our own design. Okay, yeah, back in the day we had those party lines. Had to get a job, pay for my own phone line. Yeah, I got a pink phone case. Absolutely. I do that by design. I always buy a pink phone case because at some point I'll pass it on to Big Pumpkin, and I know she likes pink. You know, that's why I like to keep the box. You know, a couple years from now, I'll go ahead and wrap that up in a nice, like at Christmas time. Put it back in the box, put all the accessories in there, and she'll be able to unbox a brand new Ukai iPhone, whatever it is. That's why I buy the pink. So it's just set up, ready to go. I gotta buy another case when I pass it on. Give it to her for Christmas. I know I'm horrible, but you don't understand how rough Big Pumpkin is on cell phones. It's always going to get broken somehow or another. So the more expensive phone you give her, it's just the more money you're going to lose. Yeah, the good old days. Having a very long phone cord, hiding in another room, trying to talk to a girl while the family spies on you. Those were the good old days. Yeah, all the other kids have one. The pressure, the peer pressure. I've heard that too. And, well, I had that problem here. Let's talk about that for a minute. The ladies come over. At night, everybody's over there being a Facebook zombie. And, my daughter's like staring out into the cow pasture. It does put pressure on me to say, okay, here's your iPad. And I do it. I do at times, but it's still, she's on the limit. I'm responsible for my daughter. I'm not responsible for everybody else's kids that are sitting there doing the statue of poverty all day and all night. They're not my responsibility. I don't have any say in how they raise their kids. But there is that pressure. Why does everybody else? Okay, stream duration exceeded. So I guess I only get 1 hour on Instagram. Okay, so I dropped off of Instagram. Instagram gives you 1 hour long. Yeah, but there is that pressure. Everybody else has got a cell phone. Everybody else is sitting there doing the statue of poverty, and she's wondering, why can't that be me? But you just have to hold strong. If everybody else was sucking on a crack pipe, would I give in? No. This is just as bad in a way as a damn crack pipe. So I got to stay strong. Whether it's a unpopular decision, the masses don't agree with my decision. I grew up without a cell phone, and I turned out just fine. Most of us. Most of my viewers my age and older. We all grew up without this technology, and we turned out seemingly a lot better than the younger generations coming up that don't even know how to change a flat tire. They get a flat tire on their Tesla. What are they doing? They're trying to figure out how to Google how to change a flat tire, or how to call a tow truck. All right, so Birds and Feeders says schools ban them where I live in New York. Yeah, I pulled up a map, and a lot of the states, I would say maybe half of the states have some type of ban in place. Some don't. But again, it just goes back to we as parents waiting on the damn government to solve a problem that we can solve at home. That's the way I look at it. I don't need the government to solve all my problems. I really just need you to, I want them to leave me alone and get the hell out of my way. Don't bother me. Let me solve my problems. Let me raise my kids. I don't need the government, the idiots in Washington, D.C. telling me how to raise my kids. Well, there you go. Remote controls. Damn. I guess I should start, harping on remote controls. Remember back in the day, back in the good old days, when you wanted to change the channel, somebody had to get up off of their lazy ass and go up and physically turn the knob on the TV. Believe it or not, my young friends, back in the day, you actually had to get up off the couch and go grab a knob on the TV and turn that thing to change the channel. You'd be like, hey man, it's your turn. I changed the channel last time. No, it's your turn. And then here come that dang old remote. You didn't have to leave the couch. Holy shit. I should start blaming the remote control. There you go, Saxon. I was the remote control when I was a kid. You're exactly right. Your dad would tell you, your mom would tell you, hey, go change that channel. That's why my dad had sons, to change the TV channel. Those were the good old days. So folks, that's an hour into the discussion. That was just my thoughts. And like I said, the reason I wanted to bring it up, it was just funny, that article. I just really appreciated the fact that the mayor laid down the law. He's going to enforce the law. He acts like he don't give a shit what anybody else says. It's his town. Don't bring no phones to school or we'll confiscate them. Okay. Now, it is confusing because I say I want the government out of my life. But if you can't solve the problem as a parent, here comes the government. That's what happened. If it wasn't an issue, the government wouldn't have to step in. And again, a lot of the parents, not here in this case, but in America, on the reports that I read, they welcome the school banning it. Oh, thank you for helping me with this problem. I just think the problem lies with us parents. And really, it lies with us fathers. Because we shouldn't, as fathers, put the responsibility on the mother to make unpopular decisions. All the unpopular decisions should come from us. And the only person they can blame, old single dad. We shouldn't, as men and as fathers, allow that unpopular decision, that responsibility, that call to be Big Pumpkin's call. And she's not the best person because she spends a lot of time doing the statue of poverty herself. But it's not her call. The unpopular decisions should fall to us men. You man up and say, nope, you don't need a cell phone. Nope, you're not taking that cell phone to school. That's it. There's no debate. There's no negotiation. There's no if then or if you don't do this. No, it's just a directive. No, I'm not buying you a cell phone. No, you don't take the cell phone to school. Hey, you got 30 minutes on the iPad tonight. There's no argument. There's no debate. It falls to us. But just so many of the younger generation, they're just weak. I see it right here from my eyes. The fact that these kids are scrolling their cell phones in a goddamn classroom anywhere in the world, it's due to their fathers not doing what he needs to do. That's from my opinion. Everybody's got a different opinion on the subject. I realize that. But how can a kid learn and interact, learn how to talk to people if they're just sitting there doing the statue of poverty? The answer is they can't. Let's see, the owl's nest. I got my hat right there. I got my, you're calling it a Billy Jack hat. It's the hat that Big Money Benny gave me from Australia. A Crocodile Dundee hat is hanging right there. Maybe I'll wear it during the next live streams. Okay, Brush Bandit. It's about time. I can't tell me how many times I've seen a cell phone shoved into a 2-year-old's face in the village, addicted before they can talk. Yeah, I mean, here you see it every day, all the time. Now, are they learning English and having a higher level of English proficiency? That's the positive of it, but there's so much more negative when you try to take that phone away. I mean, it's a screaming match. They're fighting a tug of war. You know, a 2-year-old. It's just, from my point of view, it's not reasonable. There are more negatives to handing that phone to that 2-year-old than there are positives. There's other ways to teach the child English without all of those negatives. Let's see, if you want to see how the world is going to be, look at the movie Idiocracy or the Blade Runner. Yeah, or what was that, Demolition Man, Sylvester Stallone. You know, where they're living in like this perfect utopia. And then the people living down below, like living in the sewers or down there barbecuing rat burgers. You know what I mean? Yeah, these microphones are actually, I've had these for a long time. They're simple microphones, or just Rode Video Micros. But when I complicate my life with better audio, it takes more time to set up, more time to dial in, and sometimes creates a problem. And I always revert back to simplicity, and it just works. All right, folks, I'll take a couple more comments and I'll shut her down for this discussion. But, just to recap my opinion, there you go, Mary, pagers. Yeah, back in the day of pagers. We got Flo in the house. How you doing, Flo? Hope everything's going well in the village. Folks, if y'all don't know, she graduated college. Again, congratulations. Made it through 4 years of school. And probably the first and probably the only sibling to graduate. Unless Big Pumpkin decides to go to medical school. So again, congratulations. It's a double-edged sword. Technology will evolve and we don't want to be left behind. You're exactly right. It is a double-edged sword. We certainly don't want to be left behind. But I think it's just a difference in the statue of poverty staring at something where there's zero learning value. It's just wasting time. It's just creating that addiction to wasting time. It's just killing productivity. So, a lot of way these kids are using these gadgets, what are they learning? If you want to argue on one, okay, they're learning English. They're getting a better English proficiency. Their thumb is getting more dexterity. They know their way around the cell phone. How is that really helping them? I mean, I think I could teach how to use a cell phone in maybe 2 days. It don't take 12 hours a day to learn how to use that piece of technology. Owl's Nest, I think back in the day I was a 7 1/4. I don't know if my head has gotten bigger or shrunk, but back in the day it was a 7 1/4. Boom, Derek MD18, how you doing? Okay, got a good question. Wife used my credit card when I told her no and overdraft my account. Man, oh man, that's a problem. I don't even know where to begin on that one. Where do I begin? Man, maybe I gotta fire up a whole new stream to go over that. Maybe that's the topic of a whole video. I mean, number one, you know what? I'm going to save that for a video. What to do if your wife uses your credit card. That's a good topic to talk about for a couple hours. I Laugh says, report her to the po-po. Well, the blowback to that is now you got to keep the kids and then pay a lawyer and pay her bill. She coming back. Let's see. Glenzo says my 10-year-old still don't have a phone. And remember when cable TV had the cord connected to the remote? Yeah. So anyhow, yeah. Thank you very much, Derek. I might just use that later on in a live stream, and we can talk about what to do. If you take action, there's blowback, right? A lot of couples get into some type of squabble. The 5-0 shows up. Somebody takes a ride to the jailhouse. And then when the dust settles, you realize it just took a bite out of your wallet. Anytime the government gets involved in your life, they're going to take money out of your wallet. So sometimes you have to take the smarter route. try to solve the problem without any type of government or police being involved, or it's just going to cost you more money. There you go. Fatima runs up the bill at the Sorry store on credit. What do you do about it? Man, these are hard decisions. It's what we call a decision forcing case. And I've actually got a good story about a friend of ours. I won't name no names. A friend of ours with a foreign dude, and the foreign dude ran up a bill at the Sorry store in her name and dipped out. It was actually clipped her the other way, which that part of it I was sort of excited about, but it was still a crappy thing to do. I'll save all this for another video. So folks, down in the comments, let me know what you think. Let everybody else know what you think. It's obviously a society, humanity-wide. This is not just one country or the U.S. This is planet Earth wide, the problem with kids and gadgets. Do we think they're getting smarter? Do we think they're going in the right direction with their learning, their attitudes? Let me know what you think down in the comments. I think I pretty much laid out my argument, which is kind of crazy that I spend a big portion of my day on the internet with this technology. But my view is that the technology is just allowing me to broadcast to a worldwide audience. That's the way I look at it. I look at it like it's a tool. I'm using this camera, the internet, the technology as a tool. And at night I'm using it for entertainment purposes. But I don't think you'll ever catch me doing the Statue of Liberty or the Statue of Poverty like you see all these kids around the world doing. And I guess why I tie it to poverty, it's like, growing up back in our day, if you needed money, you went out and figured out a way to make some money. You wanted money to go to the arcade. You wanted money to do this. You figured out a way to go out and make money. You didn't have that cell phone in your hand to sit there and just stare at it. Well, along came Atari. When Atari came along, it was sort of the cell phone of the day, I have to admit. Because then I didn't have to go out and make money to go put into a machine at the arcade. It was still teaching me, hey, you got to work to play. That was positive. But when that Atari came along and you didn't have to do any damn work other than to flick that power switch and go to work, the problems began then. Facebook over here, when they give something away free, they've got control, right? Imagine it was different if anybody who wanted to play their cell phone, kids included, had to pay some money up front. You didn't pay the bill. There was a meter on it. Hey, you want to play this game? You want to watch this video? Put 25 cents in the side here. Mom, give me 25 cents. Nope, go figure out how to make some money. It'd be a different situation. But what do? We buy the phone, we pay their internet, let them charge it on our electricity. What are they learning? Nothing. Because they're getting everything for free. And we wonder why they're lazy. Guitar Jams, how are you? Just go buy your kid a new iPhone 17. Nah, it ain't gonna happen, my friend. When she turns 18, okay, if she's going out in the world, it'll be a different story. But at 8, ain't gonna happen. Yeah, Atari, Pong, Pac-Man. Once Atari hit the scene and it was affordable, where we all started getting Ataris, that was the beginning of making us lazy. You didn't have to go out and make money anymore. Didn't have to leave the house. Just sit there on a damn Atari. But in the same sense, even the difference is, which is kind of weird, even when Atari hit the scene, you still had your friends over playing, or you were down there playing. You still went outside. So it wasn't the level of disruption that these things have disrupted today's society. It was a disruption. It was the beginning of laziness because it was free. But it just didn't have, I guess because we were raised without it. However old you were when it come out, 6, 7, 8, whatever. You already had that base. But if you've never had to work for anything, you don't have that base, right? I cut a lot of lawns in the summer to buy the beeper I wasn't supposed to have. There you go. Exactly. My buddy was talking about how it was like a challenge to get somebody to come cut his grass. You know what I mean? I'm like, what do you mean? You can't find some neighborhood kid to cut the grass? He's like, hey, ain't nobody coming around asking me if I want my grass cut. These times have changed. Now a damn robot cut your grass, I guess. Yeah, the physical, medical implications from using these devices. Just my redneck intuition just tells me it's not good. And in dealing with my daughter, the more she has access to the iPad, the more she catches a little, small attitude. It's just not good. Therefore, just get rid of it. That's my way of solving the problem. I don't need the government to solve the problem. But I do appreciate people in the government, like the mayor that I spoke of, and his mentality. He's responsible for hundreds, thousands of kids. You parents can't solve the problem. You force me to solve the problem. Now here's my answer because you can't solve the problem. Your kid brings a phone to school, I'm going to take it, and I'm not going to give it back till the end of the motherfucking year. Again, if parents had solved the problem on their own, he wouldn't have to do this. Let's see, Jade checking in from Seattle. How you doing? I agree. They don't need a cell phone at that early age. But not everybody agrees. Not everybody agrees with me. It'll be interesting to see if there are any changes. Kids will make these fake accounts, but I guess like the UAE is giving them 1 year to remove all of the underage, 14 and under. Any of the accounts 14 and under, and they're holding them responsible for it. Yeah, it's all about parental guidance. Parental guidance. I mean, it's just like growing up, You had the movies on the TV. Are you going to blame the TV manufacturer? Are you going to blame Hollywood for your kid watching the movie? Or is it your fault, the parent, that you weren't supervising the kid? And he's in there watching an R-rated movie on HBO. I mean, did anybody ever sue HBO back in the 80s or the TV manufacturer? It's their fault that their kid, watched an R-rated movie? Maybe they did. It's just different mentality back then. It was your responsibility to make sure the kid is not in there watching an R-rated movie. Now we got to blame the tech companies. Yeah, War Games, great movie. The Mighty P-Man, how you doing? Well, as much as possible, I try to govern my household pretty much like the 80s, and I'll leave you with this and then I'll conclude. On Netflix, there's that show called Young Sheldon, and it's set in the 80s in Texas, right? That's my preferred show for them to watch, with how people interact and language skills and humor. And all the Filipinas that watch Young Sheldon, when they come over, they're all laughing the whole time. Big Pumpkin's addicted. She's seen all the episodes. Maria loves all the episodes. Any Filipinas that come over and they put it on, they love it. So if you got a Filipino wife or girlfriend, put Young Sheldon on. I think they'll love it. And it also helps them out with English skills. You know, got some Texas accents going on. Guitar Jam says, hell, my house had the Playboy channel when I was 12. Well, I think most of us just dreamed about that channel. But good on you, my friend. I just dreamed about it. Worst we got was an R-rated movie on HBO when nobody was looking. Okay, folks, I'm going to shut her down. I want to thank y'all very much for joining me on this important topic for discussion. Thanks to everybody who sent Super Chat. Klinsky, David, Derek, thank you very much. And again, we'll have to fire up a separate stream to discuss what to do when your wife uses your credit card without your permission, or runs up the bill at the Sorry store without your permission. Both very important and complicated subjects. Let's see, Mr. Gary, SML, thank y'all for joining us. And with that, folks, once I figure out where the button is, I'm going to shut her down. If you don't mind, tap that like button, hit that thumbs up button. Helps out with them old Google squirrels inside this dang old computer. Them artificial squirrels. Turning the knobs to everything. They control everything about this game. Alright, I'm out of here, folks. I'll see y'all on the next one. And peace out. Y'all have a good one.